Okay. My name is Lauren Green, and we are the negative side, so we believe that we should raise minimum wage to $15 in California. So my opponent explained how raising minimum wage would cause inflation, but actually workers will be able to keep up with the cost of goods and services. Procon.org, it says that the minimum wage has not kept up with inflation because the federal minimum wage is not indexed for inflation. And also according to Lena Fox, who is the senior analyst at the Economic Policy Institute, says that inflation indexing guarantees low-wage workers a wage that keeps pace with the rising costs of goods and services. Raising the minimum wage and indexing it to inflation would ensure that low-wage workers could adopt a standard of living and commensurate with the current economy. There will also be improvements in productivity and economic growth, and it has outpaced increases in the minimum wage. So Pacitti Aaron, who works for the Huffington Post, says that adjusted for inflation, the current minimum wage is at the same level as it was in 1956 and reached its maximum inflation adjusted value in 1968. When it was worth $10.89 in today's dollars, had the 1968 minimum wage grown at the same rate as the cost of living, it would be $16 today. And if it grew in step with worker productivity, the minimum wage would be $22 today, triple its current level. Yet, while the value of minimum wage has eroded by 67%, corporate profits have grown by over 300%. The affirmative side has also claimed that minimum wage will harm small businesses, and raising minimum wage is actually beneficial to small businesses. Capel Mike of Forbes magazine says, explained at the beginning that increasing the minimum wage from $7 to $9 to $10 is like a hefty price, but paying an employee more means more expense for the employer than just wages. With more money being earned, it also means an increase in the employer's part of payroll taxes, and potentially more money being matched in 401ks and other benefit package plans. Also, small businesses are actually in favor of raising minimum wage. Capel Mike at Forbes magazine also says in 2014, a CNN Money Manta survey showed that 43% of small business owners supported upping federal minimum wage to $10.10 per hour, while 49% were opposed. 60% of small business owners were in favor of raising the federal minimum wage to $12 per hour, while 35% were opposed, according to a 2015 major poll. Business owners who are for the minimum wage increase argue that if employees are paid more, they will have more disposable income to spend at local establishments, thus increasing small business margins. So the fact that small businesses are in favor of raising minimum wage and more are in favor of minimum wage with each year, that means it must not be affecting them that bad. My opponent also said that raising minimum wage would force businesses to lay off employees, but it actually won't have any effect on employment. Alan Kruger of New York Times says, while some employers cut jobs in response to a minimum wage increase, others find that a higher wage floor enables them to fill their vacancies and reduce turnover, which raises employment, even though it eats into their profits. The net effect of all this has been found in most studies of the minimum wage over the last quarter century, is that when it is set at a moderate level, the minimum wage has little or no effect on employment. And another study by Alyssa Anderson and Chris Hone says one meta-study that reviewed 64 studies looking at the effects of minimum wage increases on teenage employment in the U.S. conducted between 1972 and 2007 concluded either that there is no effect on jobs or it is too difficult to detect an effect or the effect is very small. And minimum wage would actually increase more jobs and not allow people to lose them. Procon also says that raising the minimum wage would increase economic activity and spur job growth. The Economic Policy Institute stated that a minimum wage increase from $7.25 an hour to $10.10 would inject $22.1 billion net into the economy and create about 85,000 new jobs over a 3-year phase-in period. So the fact that going from $7.25 to $10.25 would have a 22.1 billion net. Imagine how much it would be from $10 to $15. I would also like to say that raising minimum wage would actually lift wages of millions of people, and it would actually reduce socioeconomic problems in the world today. Some of those examples would be, it would reduce crime rates, it would increase school attendance and decrease high school dropouts, and it would help reduce race and gender inequality. Thank you.